I had some real like loyal crazy fans that would like send me like the dopest messages on Instagram, Twitter, and shit. And that's probably what really kept me going. Like, there's a lot of times I really probably would have been selling drugs again. And I used to get a lot of inspiration from these kids, man, and they really kept me going.
Turn it up a little louder.
Put yourself on.
What does that mean? The Hustler's How-To Guide to Self-Made Success.
Hey, turn this up, fam. Turn up right now. You know what it is. Free smoke, hey, free smoke.
TheBobbyPin.com, that's cool. Thank you.
Got a candle on my wrist, girl, I'm cashing out. All my money been rich.
I don't dance now, I make money move. This is where it's at.
What's up, world? Your girl Bobby Pin is hanging out here with
Preme.
He cut me off like I ain't know his name or whatever. Preme, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. All the way from Toronto. We hanging out here in the Lou. Tell me what your experience has been like so far.
I mean, I didn't get to do much. I only been here for a few hours, but I went out with some really cool radio people. I got to take them out, have a good time. We went to, what was that called? You were there?
Westport Social.
Westport Social. We
had a ball.
We played some shuffleboard. We played some.
You took some L's,
Yeah, we took some shots. I got to know everybody, man. It was fun.
It was a ball being able to show you around, bring you into our space and into our world. But we are here for you and your music.
About me today.
It is about you.
Finally, it's about me. Thank God.
So first off, people who may have known you already, you had a different name.
Yeah.
So P Rain. Tell me how P Rain turned into Preme.
Well, I used to go by Preme originally. Like, my mother calls me Preme. All my friends call me Preme. I used to get in a lot of trouble back home, so the police knew me very well. So they would show up to my shows, hostings, things like that, threaten venue owners to not book me, say he's a bad guy, don't book him, shit like that. So I really changed my name to like get off the cops' radar. It worked for the first little bit, and then the more success I got, they figured it out. So it is what it is. But now that I'm in the States, I couldn't leave the States for like 10 years. It's hard to cross the border when you got charges and shit. So once I finally got across, I was able to get my life together and switch my name back. I wanted that piece of myself back. So back to Preme.
Back to Preme. What does that name mean to you? What does it represent?
You know what? I got the name. I used to live in Queens. I lived in Brooklyn. I lived in Queens. I lived in New York for like 2-3 years. And I went to junior high out there. And I used to always hear these stories about this drug lord, Supreme McGriff. And he was the guy with all the cars, the jewelry, the women. He was like the king of Queens. So when I moved back to Toronto, I was like, I'm Preme. That was my shit.
That's the one. That's the one right there. So tell me, this is the Hustler's How-To Guide to Self-Made Success. It's called the Put Yourself On podcast. So as someone who came up in the streets, you weren't necessarily on the up and up, but it led you ultimately to where you are now, which is successful. You're doing the music thing. What does it mean to you to put yourself on and just tell us a little bit more about how we come to meet you now?
I just never stopped grinding, man, and I never gave up. Just determination. I've been through everything somebody could go through, and a lot of people probably would have been discouraged or swayed. Even I was, but I had some real like loyal, crazy fans that would like send me like the dopest messages on Instagram, Twitter, and shit. And that's probably what really kept me going. Like, there's a lot of times I really probably would have been selling drugs again. And I used to get a lot of inspiration from these kids, man, and they really kept me going.
What was it about the streets and the drug game that appealed to you? Like, why was that the direction?
I was a kid really young, out of high school, and I just needed to make money. I could have got a job, obviously, but I mean, the life I wanted, I was attracted to, fancy things, and that was the quickest way for me to pay for it, to be honest with you. And I had a kid, like, having a kid so young, I was homeless, I was evicted, I went through a lot. So, I mean, I just wanted money really quickly. You know what I'm saying? Simple as that.
So even while you were doing all those other things, though, music was your passion. So what is it about music that draws you in?
I guess the same thing that draws everybody else in. I'm just fuck music. It's one of those art forms that it's hard to deny. I mean, I can't think of anybody in the world that said they hate music. You might hate a song or an artist or a certain genre, but I've never met anybody. I mean, it's just something about music that we're all attracted to, I think. just like colors, just like any art form. So just like anybody else, man. Exactly. I just love it. So, hip hop was something that has always appealed to me from a very young age. Just the lifestyle, I always wanted to be a part of it. So what better way than to be an artist?
I love that. Just pay homage to the people that you admired.
Exactly.
What is your connection to hip hop music, being a Canadian, being from Toronto?
What's my connection to it? I came up watching the Canadian hip hop scene. I wasn't really a fan of it. There was a few dudes that I was really, that I felt like that were really putting on for the city and for the country. And it was a really difficult time, like Cardinal, like Ghetto Concept. There was a lot of even Shot Clear. There was a lot of ill dudes doing ill things, and it was tough for them because we come from a city that really hated on each other rather than uplift each other. So my hat goes out to those guys, and I really wanted to be a part of the whole movement that helped to put a country on the map. For me, it was bigger than music. It was like, man, imagine I'm one of the dudes that could shine light on a country because they don't respect us. And I'm just glad I was a part of it.
That's awesome. So what does it mean now? You know what I mean? When we think of Toronto, it's an amazing experience. All of us could talk about the Six, even if we've never been there. So how does that feel to you?
It's amazing. I tell the people every day, to me, it's still unbelievable. Like, I wake up and I'm like, man, all these kids are talking about this kid or that kid. And 9 times out of 10, the kids are usually from the city. You know what I'm saying? The Six. So it's crazy because, like, even 5 years ago, it was maybe just Drake. You know what I'm saying? And even he wasn't totally accepted. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because of his background, where he comes from. Hip hop looks at you like if you ain't come from the streets or the hood, or you talking that adversity, they don't really accept you. So he's been through the worst. Yeah. So even though Drake had kicked down the door, they still didn't really want to give it to us. You know what I'm saying? And then Weekend Party, a lot of people came through, and then it was undeniable. So it's good to be in this place, and I just hope we can hold it here.
No doubt about it. So you are OVO affiliated, but you're signed to RCA. Yeah. Explain that relationship.
I mean, I came up with Drake before there was OVO, when they used to call it ATF. That was
what's that stand for?
That was All Things Fresh. It had like 10 different meanings, but yeah, that was just our squad back then. So like, for me, it's never been about what it is called ATF, OVO. That's my brother. Period. Yeah, that's my brother. Period. Fuck what the name is. So when he came up and he started a record label, I don't know where he was mentally on what he wanted that to be. I don't even think he knew what he wanted it to be, but I knew what I wanted to be. I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to be as big as I could. So I wanted to sign to a major record label, and that obviously wasn't a problem with him because it was never about business for us, right? And sometimes business will ruin friendships a lot of the time. So I never really wanted that to even come between us. OVO was definitely something I always wanted to be a part of, but it just didn't work out that way.
No worries. But you're here now, and we have your debut project.
Light of Day came out May 4th. Check it out. Features Post Malone, Ty Dolla $ign, YG, Party Next Door, Lil Wayne.
Explain this project to us. What does it mean to you? What's the sound like? What can people expect?
It's called Light of Day, first of all, because like I said, I was trapped in Canada for so long. Light of Day is really just, me happy that the music's finally getting to see the light of day with me being in America. And me getting to see the light of day with me being in America, getting to really meet people for the first time, like you, like, my label, for God's sakes. Like, I didn't, when I signed, I was stuck in Canada. I never even met anybody on my record label. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't really work with anybody unless they came to Toronto. So that was a crazy experience for me. So Light of Day is just, everything being able to finally see the light of day.
I like the way that sounds, but that's pretty awesome that you're so important and that people believed in you so much that they would fly or, move across seas to come record with you. So how did that part feel?
That was dope. I mean, I had met a lot of people like on the road, Europe, Australia, or just them being in the city when they're on tour and things like that. So, you know what I'm saying? And the thing is, the city's so crazy because it's a beautiful place. So people wanted to come there. You're like, yeah, I'm going to come mess with you in Toronto. But, part of them just wants to come to Toronto. We got beautiful women. We got good food. So it was dope. But yeah, the project's amazing front to back. It's a great body of work. We live in a time now where people are just trying to look for a big single. Nobody cares about putting out a hot album anymore. That shit doesn't exist. You put out a single, you hope it makes a big playlist, it gets a lot of spins, you keep doing that. I come from the era where people put out great albums. And that's why you fell in love with artists, because you fell in love with their story. And I just want to continue to stay on that path.
What would you say your story is? You have an interesting background. You told us little bits and pieces.
You gotta listen to the album. You gotta listen to the album.
Light of Day. Go check it out.
Definitely.
All right. So you are of Guyanese descent.
Yep.
We can hear your accent a little bit. What does the Caribbean influence play into your music, your artistry, your life?
You know what? The whole Caribbean influence is huge in Toronto, period. Like, in America, you'll meet a girl. Yeah, you gotta go. It's lit. You'll meet a girl and you'll be like, where you from? And you expect her to say she's Trini in Toronto. Either Trini, Jamaican, Guyanese, Italian, something. Like her parents are from somewhere other than Canada. You meet a female in America and you say, where you from? So I'm American. Where your parents from? They're American. Where their parents from? They're American. Nigga, you weren't born. You had to come from somewhere. We did not come from America. We did not come from North America. But it's crazy to me how many Americans don't know where they're originally from. We all know where we're from in Canada. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of a little culture shock for me, but yeah, I love it, man. I'm glad I was born in Toronto because we have a Caribbean influence. It comes from a real place. You know what I'm saying? It's like we're really homegrown, but not Canadian homegrown. We're homegrown from the dirt, the mud, like the islands, the real shit. You know what I'm saying? So that's always played. That's why you can hear the heavy reggae influence in the music, a lot of the Canadian music, even the Afro beats. We have a huge African community. And like Toronto's one of the most multicultural cities in the world. Asian, Italian, Somalian, Haitian, Eritrean, anything Caribbean, anything you can think about. So it's dope because we're exposed to a lot more things, I feel like, than the rest of the world at a very young age. So we get to put a whole new flavor in our shit, mix it up.
I love that. I want to mess with you real quick. So we just finished watching the game. The Raptors are in the NBA playoffs, which is lit.
We always
are. Say that again?
We always are.
True. But things aren't looking very good right now. So how do you feel? Where do you...
Not looking good at all. We lost. It's over. We got swept. It's a wrap for the Raptors.
For the playoffs? That's it?
Yeah, we lost today. We got swept. It's done.
How do you feel about that?
Terrible.
Have you seen those Drake memes?
The whole world's seen it.
That like quote.
The whole world.
I'm not gonna open that one for you. Let's.
We're all hurt. Let's just leave it at that.
I love it. Tell me more about you. You're fun. You have a great personality. You like sports. What's something other people don't know about you yet?
I don't know. I'm a regular dude that loves making music, and I just want the whole world to appreciate it. I think that's every artist's goal. I'm a father from the city of Toronto, country of Canada. A lot of people don't know that, actually. I grew up, everybody asked the question, how do you know Drake? I grew up with him, even before music, OVO affiliated. I got my own crew, Reps Up. We run the city. Tell
me more about that. What does that mean?
Reps Up, that's just my crew. I don't know. I don't remember how we even came up with the name. We were young kids in the hood, wanted to be rappers, and I used to be in a group called the Reps. It stood for the representatives. We just wanted to represent our neighborhood. And then we always used to do this thing where we threw up our R's, our R, and we used to say Reps Up, so it just became Reps Up. Like the fans kind of turned it into that. So yeah, I'm the leader of
That's a great question. How do you maintain friendships and healthy relationships as you navigate this industry, as you grow in popularity and success?
It's easy to keep good friendships if you just be who you are and don't change. If you're a real person, it's not, and you're not keeping up a persona, it's not hard to fuck it up. You're just being yourself. Either people like you for that or they don't. So if people like you off the jump and you were being yourself, they're going to continue to like you. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, that sounds good, but sometimes the people around you change, right? Sometimes it's not you. So how do you navigate that?
It's up to each individual to, make a decision in their life, what type of energy they want around them. I don't do the negative energy, so I'm quick to cut a friend off, and I don't got a lot of new friends. As they say, I'm still kind of rocking with the dudes that I've been rocking with. People in the industry, I don't really do it too much, but I've met a lot of dope people in the industry that I became close with. French Montana, Quavo, like a lot of cool people that are just real individuals, you know what I'm saying? So
people that we can catch on Light of Day,
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And the next project that's coming out soon, you'll hear them on it.
So, how do you start working on the next project? And this one just came out like 2 days ago. So,
Because I just never stopped working, so I just got so much music. Yeah, I just never stopped working. So I got the next project pretty much wrapped, ready to go too. So I just want to stay consistent and keep up, the momentum.
if I asked you to spit something right now, would you? Could you? You could not. I think it's something. Something's on your heart. Something's on your mind. No.
You know what's crazy? I got a lot of interviews coming up that I got to have freestyles ready for. And I've just been on this radio promo tour, which is why I'm here. And I've been starting to tour again. I just had a show in Kansas City, Missouri, and I got a lot of shows coming up rolling out in Miami. So I was finishing this album. So I haven't even had time.
That's fair. I'm going to let you live. So, as someone of Guyanese descent, Caribbean descent, we're going to play a fun game of this or that. With your curry chicken, would you have roti, I'm going to say this so wrong, or dal puri?
Dal puri.
What is that?
So roti is kind of the thing that, you put the curry in. It's like it's made out of flour, but it's like a fried bread. I don't know, maybe compare it to like pita bread, but not really. So dal puri is the same thing, but it has like these little flakes in it. I don't know what it is personally, but to me it just tastes better. It's really just a preference. They're kind of the same thing, but the dal puri got like these little flakes on the inside of it. So I like that. It adds a little extra, but not everybody fucks with that. But I fuck with it. Dal puri.
All right, dope. So with your meal, would you rather have sorrel or mabi?
I hate both of those things. I hate both. To me, that's some old Guyanese shit. You gotta grow up loving that, and I hate both.
It's not for you. What is it? Is it like a soda?
I can't explain these things. These are not normal things. Sorrel is like this. It has like a wine texture taste to it and sour. And Mabi is just bitter. Like they both taste good, but they both got like these weird aftertastes that you have to fuck with. So I feel like it's an acquired taste. Yeah, I don't fuck with none of them.
Okay. Fair enough. Who is the biggest reggae artist in your opinion? Vibes Cartel or Papa Khan?
Papa Khan. See, this is a Jamaican question, by the way. None of these niggas are from Guyana. But OVO has a really, really close affiliation with Unruly Gang, which is ran by the Unruly boss, Pop Khan. So I'm gonna have to go with Pop Khan.
Whoa. And last but not least, which lasts longer, a Caribbean party or a Caribbean wedding?
Which lasts longer? That could go either way. That just depends on the night. I've been at weddings that went to the morning. I've been at parties that went to the morning. They both go late.
Somebody told me Caribbean weddings last for 3 days.
That's possible, but I've seen Caribbean parties last for 3 fucking days. I've seen festivals in Trinidad last for 10 days. People literally not sleep. I did it. I did it. I've seen people not sleep for 2 weeks in Trinidad. So that could go either way.
That's lit, man. Right here, hanging out with Preme. Thank you for spending time with me on the Put Yourself On podcast. You can catch us every week right here on thebobbypin.com. And until next time, stay hustling, folks. Peace.